Hello students. So today in this class we'll be learning about the cell, the structure of the cell, then origin of bioelectric potential, then what is meant by resting potential as well as action potential, then depolarization and repolarization, propagation of action potential, then electrocardiograph and its typical waveform and the characteristics of ECG. So beginning with the basic what is meant by cell. So you can define it as a cell is a basic living unit of a body. So the entire human body, it contains about 100 trillions of cells. Cell contains of centrally located nucleus, which is also called as cell core, surrounded by the cell body, which is called as cytoplasm. The nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a semi-permeable membrane. So from the figure you can observe the structure of your cell, right? So the cell consists of plasma membrane, a nucleus and a cytoplasm. So plasma membrane, it is a selectively permeable membrane, so which allows only certain ions to pass through, like your sodium, potassium and chlorides, sodium, potassium and chloride. And the fluid inside the plasma membrane, the fluid inside the plasma membrane is called as intercellular fluid, abbreviated as ICF, and the fluid outside the plasma membrane is called as extracellular fluid, abbreviated as ECF. The plasma membrane separates the cell contents from its surrounding. Then at the center we have the nucleus. It is the largest single organized cellular component. It is spherical or oval in shape, located near the center of the cell, and it is covered by a double layered membranous structure. Then we have the third component, that is a cytoplasm. It is a gel like mass with membrane bound structures suspended in it, right? Then the sources of bioelectric potentials. So basically whatever the human body, it generates its own monitoring signals while carrying out various functions. Means our human body, it generates its own signals for monitoring various functions or various activities. Okay, and such signals which are generated by the human body, which are self generated, they convey useful information about the functions. Then these signals which are generated by the human body, they are called as bioelectric potentials associated with the nerve conduction, brain activity, heartbeat, muscle activity, etc. So the bioelectric potentials are actually ionic voltages produced as a result of electrochemical activity of certain special types of cells. So the special types of cells like nerve and muscle cells in the body are encased in semi-permeable membrane that permits some substance to pass through the membrane while others are kept out. Okay, so from the user you can observe the normal semi-permeable membrane. The ions which are outside the membrane are called as ECF, or we call it as external cell fluid, and the ions inside the membrane are called as internal cell fluid. Okay, in normal conditions, when the semi-permeable membrane are in the polarized state, the ions like sodium, which is positively charged, will be outside the membrane. Since the size of the sodium ions is more than the size of holes in the semi-permeable membrane, they cannot enter inside the cell. Okay, whereas the ions like potassium, which is positively charged, and chloride, which are negatively charged, can enter the membranes and exhibit resting potential. So the sodium ions can enter the membrane when the holes are increased, means when the size of the, due to certain stimulation or some stimulation or excitation of the cells, the size of the holes increases, then readily the sodium ions can enter the cell membrane. Okay, so from the figure 2 you can observe that whatever the size of the holes of your semi-permeable membrane, it has been increased, and readily the sodium ions which are in more concentration outside the semi-permeable membrane, then freely or readily they can enter into the semi-permeable membrane, or they can enter into the cell. So after stimulation of the membrane, all the sodium ions can enter inside due to the increased diameter of pores or holes. So now the cell, we can say that the cell has been depolarized, which gives the action potential, right? So next, what is meant by resting potential, right? So some of the fluids which are surrounding the cells of the body are conductive, right? And this the fluid, the conductive fluid, it contains atoms known as ions, and the main constituent of your conductive solution are sodium, potassium and chloride. So the semipermeable membrane of cells readily permits entry of potassium and chlorides but effectively blocks the sodium ions. So according to the concentration and electric charge, various ions seek a balance between inside and outside of the cell. So already earlier we said, like okay, when the cell has been is repolarized or it is in the resting state, right? So the size of the holes or the pores of the holes of the semipermeable membrane are small, so that it blocks the entry of the sodium ions. So due to the inability of sodium ions to penetrate the membrane, there results two conditions. First, the sodium ions which are positive ions inside the cell become much lower in concentration than in the intercellular fluid outside. So sodium ions are positive, it tends to make outside of the cell positive than inside. Second, next, in an attempt to balance the electric charge, additional potassium ions, which are also positive, enter the cell, causing a higher concentration of potassium on the inside than the outside, but the charge balance cannot be assured due to imbalance concentration of potassium ions, right? So equilibrium is reached when a potential difference across the membrane, negative on inside and positive on outside, the membrane potential is known as resting potential of cell. So the potential is maintained until some disturbance exceeds the equilibrium. The membrane potential is measured from inside the cell with respect to the body fluids. Therefore, the resting potential is negative, ranging from minus 60 millivolt to minus 100 millivolt. Minus 60 millivolt to minus 100 millivolt. Next, we have the action potential. So due to some external energy or due to some stimulation or excitation of the cells, okay, the flow of ionic current takes place. So a section of the cell membrane changes its characteristics and begins to allow some of the sodium ions to enter, means the holes of the semipermeable membrane increases, so that the sodium ions easily they can enter into the semipermeable membrane. The movement of sodium ions into the cell constitutes an ionic current flow that further reduces the balance of membrane to sodium ions. The net result is avalanche effect and tries to balance the ions outside. At the same time, potassium ions in higher concentration inside the cell during resting state try to leave the cell but are unable to move as fast as sodium ions. The result is that the cell always attains a small positive potential on the inside due to imbalance of potassium ions known as action potential, which is nearly plus 20 millivolt. So when the cell is excited and displays an action potential, it is said to be depolarized, and the process of changing from resting state to process of charging resting state to action potential, means the process of changing from resting state to action potential is called as depolarization, right? So the equilibrium is achieved once the rush of sodium ions through the cell membrane has stopped. Ionic currents that lower the barrier sodium ions are no longer present, and the membrane reverts back to original selectivity permeable condition, means again after certain duration of time, after the excitation of the cells, okay, again the size of the holes in the soluble membrane comes back to the original state. Now passage of sodium ions from outside to inside of the cell is again blocked. So the time taken to develop back resting potential would be more, but by an active process the sodium ions are quickly transported to the outside of the cell, right? So the cell again becomes polarized and assumes its resting potential. The process is called repolarization. Means the process of changing the cell from action potential back to resting potential is called as repolarization, right? So next we'll see what is meant by the propagation of action potential, means how the bioelectric signals are propagated. So if the cell is excited and generates an action potential, an ionic current flows. So such process excites the neighboring cell or adjacent areas of the same cell. In case of nerve, at any instant only a small portion of the fiber undergoes a transition, right? So from the you can from the figure we can you can observe, okay, the charge distribution in the vicinity of the action region of an unmyelinated and myelinated nerve fiber as propagation of action potential. The membrane lying ahead of the active region is polarized as in the and is in the resting state, and the active region is depolarized, and the membrane behind the active region is repolarized membrane. Such charge distribution constitutes a closed path currents, or it is also called as solenoid currents. So these currents flow in such a way that their effect is to depolarize the membrane in the region ahead of the active region, that it becomes active. The membrane is in active state only for a short duration of time. After depolarization, the membrane repolarizes completely. In this way, the action potential propagates along the length of the fiber. So, but in case of myelinated nerve fiber, the myelin sheath is interrupted at regular intervals by nodes called as nodes of Ranvier. Okay. So from the figure A and B, you can observe how the charge distribution is, or the fibers are conducting, or the bioelectric signal is propagated in unmyelinated fiber and as well as in myelinated nerve fiber. Okay. So coming back to your ECG called as electrocardiogram, right? The recording of electrical activity associated with the functioning of the heart is known as ECG or electrocardiogram. So ECG is a quasi-periodically rhythmically repeating signal synchronized by the function of the heart, which acts as a generator of bioelectric events. The waveforms recorded have been standardized in terms of amplitude, phase relationships, and any deviation from this would indicate or would reflect the presence of an abnormality. Okay, so the heart has its own system for generating and conducting action potentials through complex change of ionic concentrations across the cell membrane. In the right atrium, near the center of vena cava, are group of cells called as sinoatrial node, okay, abbreviated as SA node, that initiates the heart activity. Means whatever the, okay, the SA node, sinoatrial node, okay. So this SA node will act as a power generator, or it acts as a bioelectric generator for the heart. Means it initiates the heart activity and acts as a pacemaker of the heart. So SA node generates impulses at the normal heart rate, at the normal rate of the heart, about 72 beats per minute at rest. The body acts as a purely resistive medium, and the potential field generated by the sinoatrial node extends to the other parts of the heart. Okay, so the wave propagates through the right and left atria at a velocity of 1 meter per second. About zero point 0.1 seconds are required for the excitation of the atria to be completed. The action potential contracts the atrial muscle and the impulse spreads through the atrial wall about 0.04 second to the AV node. Okay, this node is located in the lower part of the wall between the two atria. So the AV node delays the spread of excitation for about 0.12 seconds due to the presence of fibrous barrier of non-excitable cells that effectively prevent its propagation from continuing beyond the limits of atria. Then a special conduction system known as bundle of Hess carries the action potential to the ventricles. The atria and ventricles are thus functionally linked only by the AV node and the conduction system. The AV node delay ensures that the atria complete their contraction before there is any ventricular contraction. The impulse leaves the AV node via the bundle of Hess. The fiber in this bundle are known as Purkinje fibers. After a short distance, these Purkinje fibers are split into two branches to initiate action potentials simultaneously in the two ventricles. The direction of the impulse propagating in the bundle of Hess is from the apex of the heart, that is the center of the heart, apex of the heart. Ventricular contraction begins at the apex and proceeds upwards through the ventricular arch. This results in contraction of the ventricles, which forces the blood out of the ventricles into the arterial system. So next, coming to your ECG waveform pattern. Okay, from the whatever the figure, you can observe that is a normal waveform pattern of an ECG recorded in the standard lead position. Okay, so the PR and PQ interval measured from the beginning of the P wave to the onset of the R or Q wave marks the time which an impulse leaves the SA node takes to reach the ventricles. So the PR interval normally lies between 0.12 to 0.2 seconds. The QRS interval, which represents the time taken by the heart impulse to travel first through the interventricular system and then through the free walls of the ventricles, normally varies from 0.05 to 0.10 seconds. The T wave represents repolarization of both ventricles. The Q2 interval is the period for one complete ventricular contraction. Okay, so ventricular diastole starting from the end of the T wave extends to the beginning of the next Q wave. Typical amplitude of QRS is 1 millivolt for a normal human when recorded in lead 1 position. And the typical characteristics of the ECG are: the typical bandwidth is 0.5 to 125 Hz, amplitude 1 to 10 millivolt, waveform, that is rhythmic, right? Then we have the characteristics of ECG. P wave, that is your atrial depolarization, which indicates the atrial depolarization. PQ, that is a AV node delay. QRS complex indicates the ventricular depolarization and atrial repolarization. Means when the ventricles are contracting, okay, at that time the atrial muscles, they will be relaxing, right? Then we have the ST segment, ventricular ejection period. Then we have the TP segment, ventricular filling period. And the clinical significance of your ECG, okay, so ECG waveform, it helps in diagnosis of various heart arrhythmias such as tachycardia, bradycardia, heart blocks, etc. Means ECG waveform can be used to analyze, or the bioelectric signal of your heart can be used to analyze or study the functioning of your heart. So if there are any abnormalities, okay, by just comparing the waveform, with the standard waveform, the abnormality of can be detected. Okay, thank you.